it takes something that's inherently fairly slow, training as a resident, and accelerates it by giving instant feedback. The patient can, I mean, sorry, the resident can instantly change the direction that they're heading during a session with the patient based on input that I provide.
Just having the attendings be able to tell me, yeah, that was spot on, that's how I would have done it, or, yes, you are doing this correctly, is really helpful, and it's a real confidence builder. And I would have liked to have had this program in place when I was doing some of my earlier learning. I think it would have been really helpful and probably made the learning process easier for me.
It's not ideal to sort of take 20 minutes out of the day to review something when you have a patient sitting in the waiting room waiting to be seen. So by having a record that's sort of kept on a server that you can review later definitely takes some of that pressure off, because you know that you can review the tape, look at what the teaching points are, but not have it interfere with the clinical work that you're trying to do.
The ability to be able to go back and review sessions after they're done is helpful. I think sometimes when you're in the midst of a session, especially if things are emotional or you're trying to think so hard, what's the next move going to be, or what am I going to do with medications, you could go back and watch things and you notice things about yourself that you wouldn't have picked up on.
You actually get to see the patient, so you get to watch all those subtle cues that the resident may or may not be picking up on. And you get to watch the resident and the subtle cues from the resident that they may or may not know that they are putting out there.
By recording it, not only do we have a chance to simply have a recording, but we can pick parts of that recording as it's happening and mark it so that we can go back and look at those specific areas later.
And then you don't have to sit there for 20 minutes trying to zip through or try to find what you're after. And that's very valuable.
I think one of the things that residents don't have an opportunity to really observe in the course of a session is the expressions on their face when they are working with the patient. So to be able to have a recording where they can see themselves and they can watch what their reactions are to what somebody says is a very valuable experience.
You're able to sort of go back and reflect on the theoretical base for what you're doing. You're able to possibly even get questioned on what were you doing, why were you doing this, and then you have to defend it. But I think that makes you a better physician. It makes you more conscious of why you're doing certain things.
It gives me so much more information to go on to give accurate and appropriate feedback and direction, suggestions, much more detailed suggestions, much more focused suggestions, less generalized and sort of but more like, so this is what happened with this patient, and really applying it instead of it being still a general principle, like a really direct application.
Just yesterday, most recently, it was not something that would be negative or that the resident needed to follow up on. It was actually something that the resident did incredibly well. It was in an interaction that they had that I wanted them to really know that this was really pretty spectacular what they had done. And had they just come in without my being able to watch it, I would never have known that they had really done that, and they would not have gotten the feedback, which I'm hoping will reinforce that they will continue to interact in that way in the future.
In fact, there's a lot of programs that are providing care to patients through their residents that are not getting any of the reimbursement capability that they can. And for residency training programs going forward, this is going to be extremely important. With a lot of the changes that are happening, the graduate medical education funding is going to decrease, and we're going to need to maximize the reimbursement that we get from our residents. So this is one way to be able to do that without compromising on the quality of supervision and patient care, and in fact enhancing that.